At first glance, this gown, although beautiful, may not seem particularly special. Let's take a closer look, shall we? Pay attention to the all-over floral pattern. In the front skirt portion, there is one flower that is slightly off in comparison with the rest of the pattern. This flower is actually a patch. It covers a hole approximately 1.5 centimeters in diameter. Why would an evening gown be patched? Today, we might discard a damaged dress. But this dress is dated to the early 1930s during the Great Depression. In her August 1932 article entitled Observation on the Paris Season, Harper's Bazaar writer Marjorie Howard discussed the phenomenon of women wearing their gowns to multiple events. In an October 1932 article called The New Winter Fashions, Formal Informality, Howard noted that even women from the upper classes repeated their outfits. These societal norms would be in line with having this gown mended so it could be worn again. But there is even more to this patch than meets the eye. To understand its complexity, we must look into the basic properties of woven fabrics. Usually, clothing is cut and hung on grain, which means that the lengthwise yarns in the fabric run vertically in the garment. This clothing is stable and does not easily stretch. The skirt of this gown is hung on the bias, which means that the lengthwise yarns of the fabric are positioned at a 45-degree angle across the skirt. When woven fabric falls on the bias, its grid can expand and retract. The fabric can stretch, creating a more fluid drape to contour the body. So what does this have to do with the patch? Well, it is skillfully applied to the skirt so that the angle of the fabric's grid matches the skirt. This is important because a patch applied at a different angle would fight the drape of the fabric in the skirt. It tells us that the mender had some understanding of the properties of bias-hung fabrics, which is pretty impressive because designing clothing on the bias had only begun about 15 years earlier, according to dress historian Betty Kirk in her book entitled Madeleine Vianney. This patched evening gown quietly asserts its place in history. The mended area reminds us of people's thrifty attitudes during the Great Depression, while the angle of the grain reflects significant design innovations. What else might this gown tell us?